We are live. Welcome to what I am already calling the best Thursday workout your go-to-market team will get all year. I'm Nathan Goodrich, your co-host, hype man, and the guy who will absolutely take credit if your pipeline improves after today.
And I'm Courtney Anderson, your more, let's say, responsible co-host who will hopefully keep us more on track this afternoon, and the one with the actual training plan.
Yeah, she's the coach for sure. I'm just the guy who shows up to practice with too much energy and not enough direction for sure.
So accurate. And speaking of direction, quick note before we get into it, this is a live session. This is not a pre-recorded webinar. It's our last online It's our last online session too before we head to Humans of Go-to-Market, our conference in San Francisco on June 17th. It's a full day event of GTM leaders with an incredible speaker lineup and even a New York Times best-selling author as a keynote. You can request an invite now at usergems.com/humans. Let us know in the chat if you'll be joining us there. But for today, again, we are here, we are watching the chat, and we will get back to every single question. So drop them in as we go. Do not hold back.
Yes, the chat is like the last porta potty station right before the marathon start line. You'll probably regret it later if you skip it. That might or may not be an example of a personal anecdote from my life. But anyway, now let me tell you what's on the agenda because we did not skip leg day for what we put together here.
No, we did not. So first, AI agents are dropping live today, and we mean live. We are seeing them. You are seeing them for the first time alongside everyone else in this session.
Yes, then we've got two special guests who are going to show you what it actually looks like to run a signal-led go-to-market motion at full stride. Like we're talking like real plays, actual results.
And most importantly, we have prizes, really, really good prizes, ones worth staying in your lane for.
Yes, and I have to talk about the prizes for a second because we did not just phone this in with a gift card. Every single prize was chosen with intention, on brand, and they are awesome.
Yes, the best go-to-market teams track performance, they recover smart, and they show up ready every single day, and our prizes echo that exact same sentiment.
Yes, we are going to go through them one by one because I personally put in some serious training miles researching the prizes, and I will not let that go unacknowledged.
I mean, it was more like a lot of online shopping, but sure, we'll go with training miles.
Touche. But first up, the Oura Ring 4, sleep tracking, recovery scores, readiness data, basically a tiny performance coach that lives on your finger and never takes a day off.
True. Moving on, the Whoop, the screenless monitoring built for people who want to operate at peak performance.
Yes, and then we have the Apple Watch SE3, which this is not that. It's a lot older, don't judge me. But always on performance tracking for the person who likes their metrics with a side of style and lots of notifications. Lots of notifications.
So many notifications. We also have the Lark Pure Viz Smart Water Bottle because hydration is genuinely a performance metric. When I'm personally dehydrated, I'm not closing deals. And that's just frankly science.
Absolutely. And my personal favorite to announce, the heated and cooling eye massager. This one is actually our CEO, Christian's personal favorite. And honestly, after you hear the session, you'll understand why.
Here's how winning the prizes actually works. And this part is really just the whole point.
So we have 5, count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 winners will be selected. But here's the twist that makes this a very on brand for today's theme.
Yes, every single winner nominates someone from the opposite team to win alongside them. So say marketing nominates someone from sales, sales nominates someone from marketing. You both win, you both get to win a prize.
Because as we all know, the best go-to-market teams move together, same signals, same pace, same finish line. You win together, literally. You see what we did?
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just get into it. We're handing it over to Christian to kick us off.
Woo!
All right. Hello, everyone. And thanks for joining for our UG Insider series. Love the energy, Nathan. Love also that there's a responsible adult in the room with Courtney. So very excited to kick it off today. I am fully recharged, according to my Whoop, really, really good sleep recovery, which is probably because of the eye mask. Big recommendation from me. So today, before we talk about the product development that's coming from Stefan, I want to talk about a little bit something that's even bigger. It's about where we see the go-to-market landscape evolving, because it's both. It shapes for us what we're developing, but it's also really important for you because the decisions we make today, the structure we put into place, these will really compound as we're using more AI. So let's get started with the reality of where things are actually at. In June 25, we did a survey with Winter about the state of AI adoption in sales and marketing. And back then, the results were actually kind of shocking. Only 7% of go-to-market teams reported clear ROI. And I mean, in the world of AI, that's already ancient. A whole lot has happened, especially in the last few months with things like Cloud Cowork and with like the coding tools getting really, really good. But I'm certain that even today, there are a lot of teams that would say that they hope to achieve more with AI. And so the question is, why is that? And so if we look at the areas in which AI had a huge impact, which is, for example, in coding and law, it's actually fundamentally different. Because in coding, all you need is your own internal code database. In law, all you need is the contract at hand, and then you put AI on top of it. But in sales and marketing, you actually need more. First, you need your own internal data that's usually dispersed across many, many different systems. But then you also need ever-changing and accurate, hopefully, external data. And that's what makes it so complicated. Because if you're using AI on top of bad data, then you're just automating bad decisions. And so when we look at the go-to-market tech stack, it's actually, we see a lot of tools that act, but we don't see a lot yet that think, that make decisions, that they identify the next best action. So typically, a current go-to-market tech stack looks a little bit like this, where on the left side, you have a system of records. That's typically your CRM. That's where information is stored. And then on the right side, you have a system of actions, like your sales engagement to send emails, your dialer for the call, your marketing automation for marketing engagement. But the question is, where's the brain? Who actually makes the decision? And if you don't have a centralized system in the middle that connects your system of record with your system of actions, then someone else is filling in the brain. And what we're seeing is that it's typically each individual human's brain making the decision. But that also leads to inconsistencies because everyone does it slightly differently. It's also really difficult with the information overload that we're facing that every single individual can really make the very best decisions. And so that's where UserGems comes in. That's what we are building today. We're building the AI command center for go-to-market. We're connecting the system of record, the CRM, with the system of actions, with the brain in the middle. And the brain consists of two elements. It's data and signals. It's all the first party, which means the data that you have, the third party, which is all the external information, data and signal that lives somewhere else. It's analyzing your call transcript. It's getting information from emails. It's all of that data. But then you also need the intelligence to take all of that information and prioritize the accounts, personalize the outreach, and then ultimately orchestrate into your system of actions. And so looking deeper into what we're building and what Stefan is going to show you today, it's really the brain that connects the data with the actions. It's and the intelligence. So it's the data agent is one of the agents we're creating, which is focused on the signal capture. Again, the first-party signals, third-party signals. It's everything that happens in your own system as well as externally. It's more and more using AI signals. So these are signals that are completely personalized, customized to your business. And it's combining it with, again, ever-changing account and contact information. So you also need to run the discovery. And then the intelligence agents build on top of that, where they utilize this information for scoring of the accounts and contacts. If you go after the wrong accounts, if you go after the wrong contacts, then whatever you're doing will not be successful. And then ultimately, once you build the list, once you personalize the outreach based on the signals, based on the data, then it's about orchestrating for both sales and marketing. We strongly believe that in order to be successful, you need to coordinate both the sales. You need to make sure people see your brand, see your messaging across every channel, whether it's email, LinkedIn, phone calls, as well as advertising. And for us, it more and more means that you want to consume the UserGems information wherever you are. And that could be in the UserGems platform. It could be in your outreach, Salesloft, your Salesforce, your HubSpot through the Chrome extension. But it can also be through the LLM. We want to consume the data, put it into our own AI processes. And UserGems is modular. You can use all of it, or you can just use the elements that you need for your system. And so if we look at the future of UserGems, it's also important to ask the question, where is this actually going? Because we need to understand like the decisions we make today, how they influence the future of our go-to-market. And so if we look at the history and the future, like in 2025, we've seen AI come to go-to-market. We've seen like early on, it was just AI writing assistants bolted onto existing tools. We've seen a lot of AI SDRs come to the market, but then ultimately not be successful. Because what they did is they used AI for quantity, but not for quality. So really we saw spray and pray V2. And that's why we weren't successful, because it didn't take advantage of what AI is actually good at, which is analyzing and identifying a lot of information. That's what we're seeing in 26, where AI is used for more and more action. It's used to identify signals, to drive prioritization, to take action. And we're seeing this split between AI automatically taking care of lower priority tasks, while at the same time having humans focus on the high value engagement. And that means that because we're not focusing our tasks on the manual efforts anymore, we now have actually much better time for the high value effort, like the phone calls, like the very important messages. And then we're seeing, and we're hearing today from Stefan also about accessing through any tool that you're using, like for example, Cloud Cowork. And the important part here is that this sets the foundation, because as we're using AI this year to set the baseline in terms of which data am I consolidating, which signals am I identifying and prioritizing, AI more and more learns what works for us. The keyword here is the context, because again, what's really difficult for a human is actually looking at 40 different data points and trying to understand what's the next action I should be doing. We always think we need to ask like our salespeople, by the way, do this one more thing, but it's already the 19th thing we're asking them to do. But that's what AI is good at, understanding a whole lot of data. And that data means not only current data, but it also means historic data. And that's where context becomes more and more important. It's about what actually led to an opportunity, to a closed one, to a response. And the more we understand what were the drivers before an outcome happens, we can more and more fine tune. And by in 2027, this will be more and more AI. It's going to be the agents who will make the recommendations and who more and more run them autonomously. And if we believe this, then actually the important question that also comes to mind is, what's actually the role of the human then? And so once again, if we look at the history, in 2025, we talked to a lot of sales and marketing leaders, and it was still a whole lot of operational work for everyone, like manually identifying accounts and contacts, manually prioritizing them, manually writing the emails. We started to use AI a bit more and more, but really in 2026 is when we saw the shift from AI is taking care of a lot of the manual tasks, which gives us time back to focus on what's actually important. And important means we are setting more and more the strategy, and AI is doing more and more of the work. And we will see an even bigger switch in 2027, once where our job is we set the full strategy, we set the guardrails, and then we let AI do its job based on all the data, the signals, and the history. And it's really then for us to come in and just review the work AI is doing. We're telling him what to do. AI does it, and then we review it and reiterate. And more AI will reiterate by itself based on the outcomes that it sees. And there are a lot of changes in the AI world that we're seeing, but we're also hearing from companies that it's actually really overwhelming to understand, of all the many vendors in the market, which one should I choose? Because let's face it, everyone is promising the world. And it's difficult for the vendor, so please have some pity with us, but it's also very difficult for the buyer. And so what we actually think matters more than like individual data and signals that a vendor is offering is actually the philosophy behind what they're building and why. Because if you look at the vendors, it actually becomes very clear what their philosophy is. And based on the philosophy is what functionality they're building, what data and signals they're generating, and how they see go-to-market technology should be used by the end user and by the administrator. And so in broad strokes, the way we see the market is like this, starting with obviously the big guy in the room, which is a ZoomInfo. They're very much focused on data coverage. And oftentimes like the data quantity is the bigger focus than the data quality. But they have a full suite that allows SDRs to run all of their workflows, give them a lot of freedom of what to do. Talking about Sixth Sense and demand-based, they really came from an intent-based mindset and specifically intent-based advertising. Sales is a little bit more of an afterthought for them. So if you're really big on advertising, they could be a good choice. Then talking about the newer players on the market, so Nooks, Unify, Reggie, Comment Room, they're very focused on the breadth of signals. And oftentimes it's more the quantity of the signals than ultimately the quality of the signals. But very similarly then, for example, is ZoomInfo, they're very focused on giving the end user, the SDR, the AE, the seller, a lot of information about an individual contact, about an individual account, and giving them a lot of freedom, allowing them to set up their own workflows and running their own motions. And then lastly, we have Clay, which I think many of you know. They are very versatile. You can do a lot with it if you have the nerves, the time, the energy, and the resources to do that. UserGems position itself slightly different than others because we are focused on a few things. We're very much focused on data quality. If you know about UserGems, you know the history. We started with champion tracking that required extremely high data accuracy, and it's still the foundation for all the data and even for each individual signal. If you don't have the data quality, then all the signals fail. But we're also very big on the orchestration between sales and marketing. We believe that it needs to be coordinated at the same time towards the same person. And the important thing here is also that the coordination part, we believe, should be done by the brain in the middle, and the brain is managed, again, centrally, which means there is a person in the organization identifying the best-in-class playbooks, setting them up, automating them, making sure they're getting put in front of the rep at the right time. And with that, with the overview of the market, the overview of the vendors, I want to bring it back to what we are building. As we are building the brain in the middle with the data agents, with the intelligence agents, we're not focusing on the actioning piece. We're making our focus on the brain in the middle, which means we're not building a sequence, we're not building a dialer, we're fully focused on that. And we'll now have Stefan tell us more about the exciting new functionalities that we're developing. And for everyone that doesn't know, Stefan is my identical twin brother and co-founder. So even though he looks the same, I swear it's not me presenting the next one as well.
Thanks, Christian. We're wearing the same shirt today to make it extra difficult to differentiate us. I'm happy to now tell you a little bit more about what we've been working on in the last 3 months since our last Insider event. As you can imagine, a lot of new functionality is centered around AI. We've added new agentic functionality to our two core pillars, outbound and ABM. I'm going to start with our research agent, which is the functionality I'm personally most excited about. With the research agent, you can identify tailored insights for the companies that matter to you. It helps you identify any signals on those companies, as well as any data points about these companies that matter to you. That information can then be used to either prioritize that account in the outreach or to use those data points for more personalization of the emails. The research agent can be found in your signals. If you add a new research agent, first you can select which companies and which report you want to run the research on. And then you can ask any prompt you can think of. For example, let's assume we're having an event in London and I want to find out which companies have an office in London so that I can invite them to the event. Does this company have an office in London? And then I can add for any other data points I might be interested in. In this case, just to show it, I'm asking for the address. If yes, please provide the address. We can now either let the prompt and AI decide on what answer format it will use and what data points it will return, or I could also add a custom answer format. In this case, I will let AI decide. We will now run a preview of this prompt so that you can see if the prompt is good and if the information that is returned is what you're looking for. I've used a very short prompt here, but you can use very long prompts with additional detailed information about what the agent should do. If you already have a prompt somewhere, you can now add that prompt also to UserGems and let us automatically collect that information. As we can see, it already started with the preview for 10 of the companies in our list. At first, it queried our internal database, but then it also started a Google search for Venta. So it Googled for Venta London office address. It found a website that it considered important to answer the question, and therefore it is currently scraping this website. For Wakaro, we already found the answer. Yes, they do have an office, and this is the address. For Honeycomb, it searched for London office. It checked out a couple of websites. Apparently, it wasn't happy with the results yet, so it sent out another Google search. But ultimately, it came to the conclusion, no, they do not have an office in London. Some other companies in the list do have an office, and now we could use that information to reach out to the companies and invite them to our event. Here, it's checking many different websites just to make sure that it verifies the information. Ultimately, with the response of the data agent, you can and should check if your prompt is correct. However, we're also at the end of the preview, we are also sending an evaluation to AI to see if we think that the prompt is good and if it should be changed or not. In this case, it has an overall score of 0.87, and the summary is, yes, the prompt is clear and it works. There's some recommendation, but overall it works. Our next functionality are account and contact insights. And this functionality lives wherever you are. This means we have it on UserGems, but we also show it in your CRM or in your SCP through our Chrome extension. A quick reminder for those that don't know, UserGems also has a Chrome extension, and it looks like this. So here, for example, I'm in Outreach. I'm looking at the account Birdeye, and on the right, I can see the information the Chrome extension provides. I can see all the information we have about Birdeye, all the reasons to engage. I can see people I was in touch with or people I haven't yet engaged. And I can also see the deal intel. And we provide that deal intel by analyzing all past calls and all past emails and show you the most important information. However, sometimes a summary of that information is not enough. And for this reason, we now added Ask Jemmy. And this gives you the possibility to get additional insights on the company and on the contacts. For example, I can ask, give me a brief summary about the company. Now analyzed all the information that we have about the company, what's the grade, why have we picked this company, and any next actions that we should do. In this case, I want to know who are people I haven't contacted yet. Here are some uncontacted prospects. In this case, I can now ask it to draft me an email to one of these people. Draft an email to. For this email, it will now also use all the company and all the contact information we have, and will also use the general Jemmy instructions for the email writing, as well as all content you've already uploaded, so that you get the very best email. It now drafted an email for me, referencing some data points that we specified in the Jemmy instructions, and it also added a description as to why that email works. The best thing about these contact and company insights is that we're not only offering it through our Chrome extension. Starting next month, we will provide that same information through an MCP, so that you can use all the information that we have collected directly in your AI tools. Our next functionality is the orchestration agent. Our orchestration agent can automatically create or update your campaigns with the help of a prompt. Ultimately, the goal is that it doesn't just create the campaign based on a prompt you provide, but rather that it analyzes your campaigns, makes suggestions about how to improve them, or even tells you about campaigns you're currently not running that would make sense. And you can then, with the click of a button, ask it to create these campaigns for you. Let me show you how it works. We're here in an empty campaign. If I start the Jemmy Copilot, I can ask, I want to reach out to past closed one-up contacts that now work at target accounts and joined in the last 12 months. Please add them to Salesforce and also add them to the outreach campaign AI SDR. It will now start by checking if it can find the outreach campaign, and then it will create the audience as I've described here, and then also add the add to Salesforce step as well as the add to outreach step. As you can see, it now already created a campaign name. As a next step, it will create the audience for us. Then it will add the individual steps for the outbound flow. So now we have the outbound flow started, and it decided that that campaign should run daily with a limit of 5 per company and month and up to 100 contacts per day. It now told me, okay, I'm done. Please check the schedule and the limits, as well as it notices that I didn't generate AI messages, and it asked me if I wanted to add them. In this case, I want to change the people to 10 per company and month. It will now go into this action or this setting and will change this number from 5 to 10, as you will see shortly. Now it's updated to 10. It highlights also that it has 100 total limits of contacts per day. And with this, I'm happy to show you the first functionality for our ABM pillar. We've now created the option to coordinate your sales and marketing efforts by enabling you to advertise to the very same people that you are sending emails to. The way this works is that every campaign now has an outbound arm and a marketing arm. And this means the very same people that you've defined in your audience will run through the outbound arm. They will be added to Salesforce, for example. They will be added to Sequence, but they will also run through the marketing agent. If we go back to the campaign, we can enable the marketing branch simply by clicking here. It then asks us if we want a different schedule for the advertising part of the campaign. And interestingly, I can also set different limits. For example, in outbound, I only want to reach out to 10 people per company per month. But I already want to advertise to all the people so that they are already familiar with me through ads when I send them the very first email. This also directly brings us to the next functionality. As you might have heard in our last Insider event, we are now supporting adding contacts to a LinkedIn campaign. The ultimate idea is to reach out to the very same people and show them ads. Since then, we've also added with support for other platforms. That means we're now not only supporting LinkedIn, we're also supporting Meta and Google. And in this case, the advertising is not based on the company, but rather on the contact for a higher metric. Isaac will tell you a little bit more about this functionality. I can briefly show you how it looks in the platform. So as mentioned, in our marketing arm, we can add sync to LinkedIn audience. We can add sync to Meta audience, as well as sync to Google Ads audience. This means the very same people based on our audience will now receive a message because they're added to the outreach sequence, but they will also see our ads. Last but not least, I'm happy to talk about our buying stages and time progression. With this functionality, we map every account to its respective buying stage. And we do this by using both all the contact information, all the company information we have available. Just like our regular account scoring, it is transparent and customizable. This means we tell you in what stage a certain account is and why we added that company to this stage. It also lets you adjust every individual factor in case you consider a certain factor more or less important. Let me show you how this looks like. This is how the buying stages might look like. In this case, for example, we have Tipalti, and it has an account score of A, and it is in the buying stage consideration. And the reasons why we added it into the buying stages consideration is because they're website visitors from the company. They are part of a UserGems event, and they opened, for example, some marketing emails in the last 90 days. The buying stages also shows you the TAM progression. That means you know how many companies moved from one stage to the next, and you therefore can see if your marketing activities are working. It also helps you identify net new accounts because we highlight which of these accounts are not in your CRM yet.
Edible. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, Christian. If indeed you are two unique individuals and not just the same person trying to be in the same place at different rooms or whatever. But comment in the chat if you have seen Stefan and Christian in the same room so we can confirm they are two different people and not just the same person. But that is the product updates. While you're commenting in the chat, feel free to drop what you're most looking forward to. I'm going to give it a couple of seconds for you guys to do that. I'm going to rehydrate with my water bottle here. So take some time and chat and put it in the chat real quick.
Is that your race bottle? Oh, and it even says Nathan.
Not only is it my race water bottle, it actually is branded. Can you believe that? It's total coincidence. There's a brand out there that's name is Nathan Running.
And do you work for Nathan? Or are you part of this company in any way?
I feel like somebody should give me something for promoting and having their name, but I have yet to see a check from them in the mail. So if anybody has any connections over there,
it's a free plug for water bottles and for merch.
Yes, I would appreciate that. But let's talk a little bit of what it actually looks like when a real team picks up the UserGems go-to-market brain and runs with it.
Yes. Next up, we are bringing in Lynn Tan, Senior Director of Growth over at Quickbase. And Lynn actually built a signal-led GTM engine from the ground up with UserGems at top speed. And she's here to show you exactly how it's done.
Yes, Lynn, take it away.
Thank you so much, Courtney and Nathan. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. Cool. All right. Very excited to be here, and I excited to spend the next 20 minutes to share my journey on how we've built a signal-led go-to-market engine and drive behavioral changes. So in this section, I want to bring you through along the journey on where we've started, the turning point that we realized that we need to rethink our outbound engine from cold to signal-led. How are we identifying the 3 key ingredients to scale with personalization and start building with the signal-led engine for go-to-market, and some of the lesson learned and impact. So just a quick background of Quickbase. So we are the AI-powered operational platform designed for complex operational work. We help business to connect data, creating an automated workflows, building a custom no-code application, providing real-time visibility and governance to scale. We support a wide range of customers with multiple product offerings and use cases to a mix of buying group. So when I first started last year, one of the key initiatives is how to scale our outbound engine. And we faced a few challenges. Number one, our outbound motion wasn't built to scale or act on a signal or intent at that point. A lot of the work were done manually, and signal weren't being prioritized. The second point, as we all know, AI has made intent instantly actionable. If we have an idea, AI is now able to turn it into an output just within minutes, compared to in the past where we spend months of work working with multiple teams trying to find the signal, enable the team with the messaging. Now everything is in lightning speeds, and that relevance, the contact level personalization matters more than ever. The last challenge we observe is we are also having a lot of systems that they are not necessarily connected. We have different tools that serve as some sort of intent signal, but we are missing that centralized engine. And that centralized engine also kind of lack of the go-to-market context to really being able to interpret those signals. What are those signals? Why are they important? And how should we act on it? So with all of these challenges, we started to take a step back and rethink our outbound and how that should integrate into the marketing funnel. We all very familiar with the marketing funnel, how are different traditional demand tactics that are tied back to each stage of the marketing funnel. But we realized that with AI, there is this new category of on-demand data and AI insights that can actually become the core motion to enable outbound to scale and personalize. Knowing that these are the people that are aware of their problem and aware of their brand. They can be past champion, they can be visit our website, they could be competitors of our customer. These provide in a higher intent and higher conversion for our outbound motion to scale and convert faster. So with that, we started our journey and we first kind of identify what are the high intent signal where Quickbase is positioning uniquely to win. We know that UserGem already have a lot of pre-configured signal. on the people level and on the company level. And I listed a few examples here, right? Past champion, people get promoted, people that visited our website. On the company level, we can understand whether this is a competitor of our customer. Is there any funding and hiring signal? But it becomes a huge unlock for us when we realize UserGem can actually create custom signal that is unique to us. This was the most interesting part because it changed our way of thinking how we can develop our playbook. And it becomes like an internal joke that every time when we're brainstorming a campaign, we started with the question of, can this turn to a signal? What is the trigger event? Can we put this into signal in UserGem? And you can see some of the example here, right? People that took out a Quickbase trial, these are unique to us. People that attended past Quickbase event, people that actually is a member of our community or any other community that share the same pain point. Now, this is the signal that no one else can replicate. And this is becoming a huge unlock for us as we are identifying the signal that is important to us. The other unlock is mapping the signals to context. Getting the signal in one centralized place is the beginning, right? But it is the messaging. How can we drive the urgency? How can we make this message more value driven? How are we tying the signal to the industry use cases content, new product capability, our hook, the offer, Sendoso gift, ROI calculator, our event promotion. And this is the area that we spend a tons of time to train GemE. And this is not just an effort from my own. I have a full team, and I want to give them a shout out here that they have spent a lot of time training UserGem with content from product marketing, from brand, from all of the feedback that we get from SDR. And we are treating UserGem like the ultimate revenue teammate. And that is when we started to see the message come to life with the signal and the context, this brain to interpret it. What are the signal? How should we act on it? And why it's important? That message started to come to life, and we got really excited to see like how personalized that it can get. And every single message is different to the same person, tying back to different signals. The last unlock is automation. Having the centralized signal, having signal map to context, this is the great foundation. But being able to automate this into Salesforce and outreach really drive that adoption in the sales and SDR organization, right? I'm very grateful that UserGem is integrated with Salesforce and outreach and being able to automatically push all of this message and signal into Salesforce, enable SDR with the Copilot Chrome plugin, automatically push all of this message into our sequence. That fulfilled the promise for SDR so that they can spend their most important time engaging with prospect. Another call out recently, just about a few weeks ago, we also leveraging UserGem to start pushing all of the call and LinkedIn brief into outreach. That way, not just the email that is personalized, but now the call and the LinkedIn step is fully automated and dynamic, tying back to the signal and the context. I want to quickly flash this slide because this is a slide from UserGem, but our SDR and sales org is really resonating with this visual here. In the past, where a typical day of an SDR or an AE, they spend 2/3 of their time finding contacts, prioritizing their account list, writing message. To now, we have UserGem workflow run 4 a.m. every morning to find the contact, to prioritize with signal, automatic all of the message into outreach. And that truly helped us to scale and increase our coverage on all of our outbound motion. And SDR and AE can start their day directly engaging with prospect and customer. So in hindsight, these are the 3 key ingredients that help us to build the signal-led go-to-market engine. Like I said earlier, right? Number 1, the data, the signal, having one centralized platform that actually surface data that is unique to us that no one else can replicate. thinking about the product engagement data, first-party data, even like customer AI data to identify a cohort of audience that share the same pain point that Quickbase can solve. That is a huge unlock for us. Second, having this AI go-to-market brain, being able to take all of the signal and also able to automatically push all of this out into the downstream workflow, being able to interpret all of this signal just like a human, that is another huge unlock. And I'm really happy that UserGem is acting as that go-to-market brain that connect the signal to actions. And then the last unlock is the outbound automation, right? Being able to automatically populating all of this message, providing the context through the Chrome plugin, personalizing email and call brief and LinkedIn brief to really help us to get to the next level to scale. Another learning is we started to realize why like account signal is no longer enough for us. Account signal is really kind of a lagging indicator, right? We know that people buy from people, and it is a group of stakeholders that make the decision. And the account signal kind of tell us something is happening, but it does not necessarily pinpoint who is actually driving to it. And with AI, like people are actually expecting a more personalized experience, context-aware outreach, highly relevant message is becoming a requirement today with that level of precision and person level relevance, right? So having the account inside is not enough, especially for the sales org, right? Like, and we need this high level of confidence to indicate what is the buyer and the right buyer that we receive the signal, or we based on the company signal, these are the right buyer that we should be engaging and surface this information to the sales org. And this actually also increasing the trust and clarity when we are identify a clear kind of call to action. Like this is the person that changed job. This is the person that visited our website. This is the person that actually is within the right buying group for this technology. And based on the signal, this company is rapidly hiring, right? So being able to pinpoint to that specific individual is now a requirement in the world that we are living now. Another things I want to call out is since I started last year, it has been a journey and it's not an overnight magic. And there's a lot of trial and error and experiment that we run throughout this entire time. And from at the very beginning, we wanted to expand our coverage and see besides past champion, what other campaign and playbook that we can run to expand our reach. To Q3, Q4 last year, we started to explore signal-led expansion. We want to prioritize account within our territory based on signal. We tested Revive Close Lock playbook. We tested some of the ABM playbook, competitor takeout playbook, seeing how we can orchestrate with a more signal-led approach. To Q3, we even increase our integration with UserGem, listening all of the product interesting moment and product signal, and seeing how we can trigger real-time engagement to people take out the trial, to people that conduct certain behavior in our product for expansion signal, in more real-time follow-up with website visits that drop off, and how can we re-engage. So it's been a journey, and the journey is continue on, and I'm grateful with the support with the UserGem team to help us to continue to experiment and expand our use cases beyond the job change signal. So the last two slides, I want to share some impact and lesson learned. So looking at like the average quarterly in 2025 to the Q1 in 2026, I think the biggest call out here is we are able to reach to the next level to increase our reach and increase our percentage of coverage. We are able to generate leads and being able to outreach to a 5x more on a lead. And that have a ripple effect to increasing volume on meeting and opportunity, and also increasing volume into close one. Lesson learned, I kind of alluded to a lot of this in my previous slide, right? So number one, start with signal that differentiate. We ask ourselves all the time, like, is this a signal? What is the trigger event? And this differentiation come from the unique, hard to replicate signals that is unique to Quickbase, right? The second one, it changes our mindset on thinking about on a campaign level to a playbook. In the past, we think one signal equals one campaign, to now we have one cohort of audience that have multiple signals. And how can we unify all of this into one playbook? Within the one playbook, there is multiple message, and we prioritize different signal, and being able to test different signal and understand how we drive conversion. That has been like a mindset shift for all of us. The third thing, the three key ingredients, right? Like we can't miss any one of the three. Pairing the signal with context, being able to automate this at scale with integration with other system, training UserGem like the ultimate revenue teammate. In like every time when we have new product launches, a new campaign brief, the first thing is let's get them into Gemi. Let's make sure UserGem is able to think like an SDR, understanding content like a content marketer, being able to orchestrate like a growth marketer, and also like driving conversion conversation like an AE. And then the last learning is a new SDR operating model where now AI is handling all of the research and data enrichment and prioritization, and giving the time to SDR to truly focusing on the engage and conversion. Enable the SDR to understand all of the signal, to help them to accelerate all of those enrichment engagement. That is all I have. Thank you all for listening, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I'll go through the chat, and also please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and excited to learn from all of you as well, and continue to excel into this journey here. Thank you all.
Lynn, thank you so much. Phenomenal. It is great to see how you're using the AI brain, putting the signals in, building the right motion, and letting team run.
I see what you just did there, Nathan. And for our next speaker, Simona actually took things global. Simona Gatta is the Global Senior Director of Business Development over at Docebo, and she scaled AI-driven prospecting across multiple countries. So if you've ever tried to align a GTM motion across borders and languages, you know that that is no small feat.
Simona, we are so glad to have you. Over to you.
Thank you, everybody. So hi, thanks for having me. I'm Simona. I lead global business development team at Docebo, and my role is really to think about how we scale pipeline and impact across team, across geos, and across different regions. So over the past 2 years, there was one main challenge that was how do we grow without just adding more people or asking the team to just do more. And to me, this topic is super personal because I've always believed in focusing on efficiency, on the 20/80 idea, on, focusing the effort on small percentage that drives the majority of the result. But then when we looked at our team and our workflow, that wasn't really matching this vibe and this principle. So at Docebo, we anchored on a very simple principle, which was I don't want to show BDRs all the work that they could do. I just want to show them what they should do. And so our mission became super simple, and to how do we automate delivery daily, prioritize for reps based on enriched signals, instead of just, again, asking them to figure it out themselves. And outbound has changed a lot throughout these past years. But again, our workflow didn't really change. And we felt that our workflows weren't running at the same pace of our tools. There were so many signals, we got so many tools, and we started buying a lot of data. What I personally saw was that reps were still spending huge amounts of time doing manual work before they could even start outbounding. So that is researching accounts, building lists, validating contacts, jumping between the many tools that we had. So to me, as a leader, the result wasn't just like inefficiency and uneven performance between the whole team globally. It was fragmentation and unpredictable scalability. Because if you think about it, when you're deciding and your rep is deciding on their own where to focus, where to prioritize, that's what delivers inconsistent results. And this is not on the BDR. This is on us as leaders. We focus their attention on spreading it across all these accounts that we give them, instead of just concentrate on what actually matters. And so that's when the shift started to arrive, where we should shift from, you have to get through the 100 no's to get to that one yes. And we started to take a step back on all the toolings we had, and started looking at UserGems as well in a more strategic way and as a strategic partner. And so, sort of like Lynn said, we didn't just started with a bang. It wasn't just a transformational start. We started with just switching on and surfacing a couple of signals like job changers, past champions. And this was a simple Slack notification. Reps could go in, decide where to act on these notifications or not. And then again, you quickly realize that just showing signals isn't enough still, and signals without structure still requires the rep to decide, is this important? Should I act on this now? And so on and so forth. It also was still requiring a lot of enablement and follow-up from management as to, are you following up with this lead or not? And I didn't have visibility on what was working. And so that's when we evolved, and we started moving from visibility only to orchestration. And so that's where I started to take also more ownership, myself and the management team. And I'll walk you through into the next slide on how we are orchestrating that in the background. But now we really deeply embed UserGems into everything we do, and we design our outbound motion fully with UserGems into the everyday workflow of the BDR, keeping in mind one thing, and the primary focus always is to have reps concentrated on the highest converting accounts. So what I'm going to show you now is what the reps don't see, and what we do as leadership team with our fantastic CSM, Caroline, at UserGems. And what we ended up here in Docebo was building what we internally call our outbound engine. So high level, super simple. We go by steps. So one thing I'm super passionate about is you're sitting on your biggest advantage, which is your first party data. Your first party data is everything that you already know, you already are collecting, and your competitors do not have. That's like past conversations, close lost context, event notes that your own salespeople actually go and input. There's call recordings that, again, your competitors don't have. That's information no one else has. Often this, even at Docebo, was overlooked and was assigned manually or at the discretion of a regional manager. So I had managers who were promptly doing this quarterly, and managers in other segments not doing this. But here was important to layer UserGems on it. And on top of these first-party signal data, we layered UserGems signals on top. So champions moving around, new hires, website visits. And we started also thinking, can this be a signal? And let's feed that into UserGems. So this is our first step, where UserGems is then sitting on first-party data and then feeding us with extra signals there. So we have now a very rich context on not just who to contact, but also why. The second step is UserGems comes in again and helps us scoring all of these signals. So again, we spent a lot of time here with the management team and the CSM team at UserGems into really teaching the AI brain, what was our customer profile? What is our ICP? Where do we want to focus on? What's our target list? Have the machine learning basically how to score and weight those scoring. The third step is where we collaborate with our RevOps team internally. And so we push all of these prioritized scoring accounts and contacts into outreach, into tasks, pre-loaded for the BDR. So this is also an important step. And again, keep in mind that here, the reps are not seeing any of this. This is all orchestrated from our side. And that's when the cherry on top comes again with UserGems and their Gem E, where we have AI crafted messaging and AI assisted messaging through calls and through emails. I'm going to show just later an example. So here's where, again, taking a step back, we have every single layer of our outbound strategy is layered with UserGems, and UserGems is helping us on every single step of this and connecting this all together, orchestrating all of this together. Again, the best part for me is that the reps are only coming at the execution part where they're informed about contextualized information, and they just action their tasks. And here's where we saw the most important shift as well into how our BDRs and how our reps are operating every day. So before, our reps started their day just figuring things out. I also remember a couple years ago, I just had to figure out who to target, where to find them, what to say. And that took me hours. And after 8 years, my BDRs were still spending those hours into figuring things out. So the aftermath here is completely flip the funnel. So reps now log into outreach. They already have prioritized work. They already have the context, and they already have the drafted message. So you can see how here's where like the big role of a BDR shifts. They're conversing more on the phone. They're creating real pipeline. They're not building from scratch anymore. They're just refining. They're executing. And so here is where, again, I see a lot of impact on AI orchestration really flipping the funnel. So there's less time wasted on things that, again, AI can do and uniform and scale away in across multiple different regions, time zones, and market. And so me and the enablement team and the coaching team, we're just focused on enabling people on speaking over the phone, just focusing on accounts that really matter, and really shifting the focus of the BDR into judging more than just teaching them how to use tools or how to just look for the best account out there. So again, this is where it becomes real. This is stuff that I love. This is what the BDR sees, basically. A real reason to reach out to a specific buyer. And the thing that I love the most is that every single BDR in my org actually sounds a lot more confident over the phone. Because they have their reasons to reach out. It's not just generic persona-based pain points and objection handling, usual 2020 scripts. Everything is based on context and what's happening to that specific person at that specific company right now. So everything is super relevant to the prospects. So again, Here is where, again, the BDR shifts from writing to just editing and simply sounding more professional. The key business impacts, I'll start by one that I wasn't even expecting when we first started this project and started thinking more strategically, was I saw a dramatic faster ramp up of my BDRs, and what I also call an harmonization of knowledge and acumen across the newest rep in town and the more knowledgeable tenured rep. So basically now all of my reps across the globe are generating pipeline and real deal pipeline in their first month. There's no more waiting around 6 months, 4 to 6 months, for the new rep to create that killer deal. Literally, I have BDRs joining and then creating their first few real deal that convert into pipeline just after 4 to 6 working days after they start with UserGems sequences. This goes without saying then. The second super big business impact was that because we have gone all in, and now almost 70% of my org is channeled and funneled by UserGems, the opportunity quality has raised because we're only feeding AEs signal-driven prospects that are entering their pipeline with a real reason why. Third business impact, this was a great achievement because we have really maximized the rep productivity. All of my reps are overachieving their quota. They're producing a lot more because, again, they're spending their time on conversations, on those reply rates that I'll show later. They're creating pipeline of pipeline. So all of those replies that are maybe not leading to a meeting straight away, they're keeping nurturing them, and they really put themselves at the same level of their prospects. Fourth, again, linking back to the opportunity quality, is the pipeline conversion has improved, and we're seeing that the UserGems enriched contacts and opportunities are moving a lot more quicker and a lot more stronger through the pipeline because, again, we have an enriched reason why and a solid reason why now. Sort of like also what Lynn was touching on, the BDR and the role has transformed in itself as a BDR. So before, the BDR used to be a more, hey, the expectation is that this is a repetitive job. It's a get through the 100 no's to get to a yes. But now what we're doing is we're creating a lot of space for the BDRs to really focus on those phone skills, to focus on just even enabling themselves to grow skills for the next step. And so again, here, the most outstanding and astonishing thing that we're witnessing is we were heavily enabling our team into how to use tools. Here's a refresher of our workflow. And now it's all shifted into the skills and how you talk over the phone and how do you convert those phone calls to meetings. And so we're really elevating and starting using talent differently. What I also think is, again, we give them information and contextualize information when they start so that they already start three months in almost. When we roll this out, we saw results pretty quickly. We saw impact quite quickly. We saw a reply rate raising significantly. Email reply rates we were seeing were around 0.3 to 1% at max. Now on all our English sequences, the average is a 20% reply rate. And we do a lot of sequences. We do reach out a lot. So 20% is a lot for us on there. What I'm actually very proud of is that we have also gotten great results from our international sequences, mostly Italian, German, and French. We launched these sequences and workflows in Q1. In some German sequences, we have a 43% reply rate. So it's an amazing result because, you're all to think AI in Italian doesn't work, or it sounds clunky. You always have to edit it. Part of it is true. You have to still edit and proofread some of the things, but getting a 30-40% reply rate where actually prospects say thank you for this thoughtful reach out, because I do go in and read those email replies. It's amazing, because we never ever seen this in international markets, where it was always used to be manual. You always had to spend hours crafting and personalizing things in your language. Again, quick results here, because as soon as we launch a workflow, I as a leader know quite quickly, to be honest, if a workflow is working or not. It's 4 days average time from deployment to first meeting book. That means that if I don't see any movement in the first week, we need to change the prompting on that workflow. We need to change something there. We need to enrich something there. So to me, I look at, again, reply rates as something that is hugely important, again, for the BDRs to build their own pipeline of pipelines. So again, we cannot influence as BDRs when our prospects are ready to buy, but we can influence and start connecting the dots and start connecting with real prospects. And again, I'm a big perpetrator of BDRs are not just there to force meeting into the pipeline. They're also there to create relevance and be remembered and brand awareness. So yeah, in summary, we didn't just add signals. We advanced our outbound strategy that we executed at Docebo in all of our markets. And again, it's been a huge achievement to also do that in our EMEA segments. And this is how we shifted from manual effort to really focused execution, and what really orchestration means for us. So yeah, thank you so much. I'll keep monitoring as well the Q&A chat, and if you want to connect with me, I can go deeper into any more questions.
Wow. Really, really incredible stuff, Simona. The slow clap. Now, Nathan, that's perfect. Again, Simona just showed us that when your motion is really just built right, geography is not a limitation at all. I think we're on to something with this Gemi for a global takeover in 2026, right? But I think that's kind of already happening.
Yeah, I like the sound of a Gemi global takeover, but I also heard that Gemi is working its way across the San Francisco area right now. HumanX and now Humans of Go-to-Market coming up.
I mean, yeah, possibilities are truly endless here.
Amazing. Well, moving along, I know a lot of you have seen our ads, maybe clicked on one or two of them. Maybe you've seen them so many times that you've started to wonder yourself, man, who's behind all of this? Well, friends, wonder no more. It is Isaac. Wait, or should I call you Santa? Is that you?
I lost the hat, but we still come with gifts, so we're good. We're good.
I was gonna say, if you weren't here for the Insiders event in December, Isaac, aka Santa, was very generous with the gift giving.
Muy generoso. That's not a word, but I was trying to relate back to the Docebo going across the global takeover.
It was a good
anyway, Santa or Isaac, over to you.
Yeah. I'm actually not here alone today. I actually came with Gershon, my one of our amazing sales managers here at UserGems, because we do everything together, sales and marketing at UserGems. So while I am going to be going through some of our contact level advertising, signal-based advertising, all of this is paired with outbound. And that's something I like to hammer home for all the teams I talk with, whether it's prospects or customers, is that a lot of people are running these outbound plays based on signals, but every single thing can be paired with advertising. And a lot of you have seen this slide before, and it's just a glimpse into all of the signals that we use here at UserGems. But again, everything starts on the signal side. Like everybody was showing, Lynn and Simona were combining all of those signals for the outbound campaigns, but all of these can also be grouped by signals at the contact level. So what we're doing here is actually saying what makes this signal relevant? Does this ad warrant separate messaging based off this signal? And how can we hit this individual in a very relevant way to them as an individual, not the account level? This is a huge shift we've been seeing with UserGems customers, but also even outside of UserGems. People are realizing that account-based intent and account-based signals on their own usually don't produce the pipeline that people are expecting. So a big piece of this, though, is actually the match rates. We attempted this even before we built this into the UserGems product, being able to advertise and sync those audiences over. And one of the roadblocks that we kept landing on was match rates at a 10 to 30%, as you can see on the right-hand side, usually just aren't large enough of an audience when you get down into these very niche signals. Some of these audiences on LinkedIn have to be 300 or more. And especially when you're leaning into time-based advertising around a specific signal. So when a signal happens, we only advertise for 90 days after that signal happens. A lot of the times we have smaller audience sizes there. So being able to bump these audience match rates up has been huge for us. So we're sitting around 78 to 95% on LinkedIn, about that 50% mark on Meta, and 30 to 50 on Google Ads. The first one that I'm going to dive into isn't the typical new business ad to generate a demo. It's actually around the post demo request. And some of you guys have seen this one, but it's a play that we've run for years now. And it's very narrowed in on multi-threading. And a lot of teams, AEs are obviously in the know about multi-threading. On the marketing side, a lot of the times what we're doing to pull more people into these deals is done at the account level with maybe some persona filtering. What we're doing here at UserGems is actually taking, again, those two branches where we have the outbound branch where we're teeing up the AE for a multi-thread email. We're incorporating all those signals. On this side, we're actually syncing that audience over to the ad platforms. And what this lets us do is actually hit all of those contacts that UserGems is surfacing around the opportunity contact. So UserGems is able to take a look at your persona. We're able to take a look at, hey, this is an open up account. Let's surface this white space and let's use this for, yes, multi-threading for the AE, but also for targeting on marketing. So we're saying, hey, marketing, hey, sales, hey, RevOps, your team's already talking with us about signal-based ABM, contact level advertising. Do you want to join the next call? This allows us to, again, we run this at $15 a day a lot of the time, to hit the entire buying group with very relevant messaging without having to, especially as you move up market, hit the entire account and blow a bunch of money there. So really good play for us, builds that relationship with the AE team as well. The second one, again, not new business, but still very valuable for us. As UserGems has shifted more towards a GTM brain for everything, stacking signals is a lot more possible and is a lot more relevant now. So this play right here, what we're doing is we're actually taking the customer accounts, we're stacking on top, hey, this is this account's approaching a renewal, and this contact at this account has been researching a specific topic. And this has been huge for us because, again, people can be involved in deals at the customer accounts. They might not know about your entire product offering. Maybe they start evaluating a competitor that they don't even know is one of your competitors. This happens for us sometimes for people that are using UserGems in a smaller way, but UserGems, again, we're out here actually ripping and replacing 6 cents sometimes. So let's say they start evaluating other AI agents or ABM platforms or anything like this. These ads automatically get triggered alongside outbound to say, hey, in the top left, you could see, hey, UserGems customer, or you've got UserGems. We're calling out that relationship. We're calling out what we do that they might not know about, and actually calling out that evaluation to, again, either direct them towards that kind of product offering or even help them with that process by giving them a tool roadmap or a buying guide around that tool. And it doesn't stop there. We also stack a lot of that contact level intent with things like close loss churn. So this is more on the new business side. Sales team knows that the revive close loss is one of the absolute best signals you can be running. They close at a really high rate. They already know you. They've been through a demo. But sometimes they demo you, they get through that process and it wasn't necessarily perfect, or maybe they left thinking something else. They didn't realize you filled a gap, or maybe the timing was just wrong. So what we're able to do with this is, again, watch for them starting that research around a specific competitor, around a specific topic, to signal that they're ready to enter back into that buying process. So for us, we take a look at that closed lost. We look at all of our competitors, all these intent topics. We shoot that outbound out. Again, remember, always 2 branches, outbound and ads. And with this one, we want them to maybe go further into the sales process, evaluate us against a specific tool, run a proof of concept. And this really pulls them back into that deal. The last one I'll go through is actually not even a specific audience that's built with stacking signals. It's actually just a broader approach to marketing and signal-based advertising as a whole. This slide was prompted based off of one of our prospects shooting us over a message on how she actually experienced the buyer journey post close lost opportunity. She went through the process, didn't fully realize the scope of what we did. She started seeing some of these ads like, hey, we're not the same UserGems the last time you met. We noticed that there was a tech stack signal that they were using one of our competitors. But that tech stack signal was combined with a contact level intent where they were researching alternatives to that tech stack they had, which let us know, hey, this person, yes, they have this tool. They're probably churning. They're evaluating competitors. It's time for us to enter back into that conversation. And again, other people at the account were past champions. They're entering into that account. All of the outbound is taking this automatically, drafting that for the ADRs, sending it off for them. But on the ad side, this individual was receiving all of these individual touch points with relevant signals and advertising to her as an individual. So I love sharing this just kind of as a way to get your mind spinning on what is possible with signal-based and contact-based advertising when it works with outbound. So the next time you go to launch a campaign, think about this. Think about how you can actually push this a little bit forward. Call out those signals, be as relevant to them as possible, stack signals where you can. It's been great for us in terms of pipeline generation, expansion, churn reduction, everything across the board. And Nathan and Court, welcome back.
The amount of people that come inbound through our ads is truly incredible. And it's one of my favorite things when people talk to me. They're like, oh, I saw one of your ads. So shout out to our marketing team. Incredible stuff.
It all adds up. It sure does. But all right. Thank you, Isaac. Now for the moment I'm sure a lot of you have been waiting for. We have got 5 winners that are going to be announced on LinkedIn next week.
If you have made it this far, you've already got 2 entries for registering and attending. Now your next job for an even better chance and 2 more entries is to post about this session, what you learned today, what you're excited about on LinkedIn, and then make sure to tag us.
Yes, like Court said, your favorite learning, maybe a key takeaway, best part of the session, or something new you've learned about UserGems.
Yeah. Winners will be announced next week on our company page. So if you're not following us yet, now is a great time to fix that.
Yes, and if you win, expect to hear from us directly, and you'll be able to nominate your favorite sales or marketing person to win with you.
Yes, and before we let you go, we just want to take a moment to thank the people who made today just really worth showing up for.
Yes, Christian, Stefan, Lynn, Simona, and Isaac. You each PR'd today. Great job.
And thank you, everyone who joined us live, dropped questions in the chat, and just really stayed through to the finish line.
Yes, that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap. You came, you learned, you pushed through the whole session, and you might have won a recovery eye massager. Honestly, not a bad Thursday.
Yes. Thank you for being here. We'll see you in the next one or on June 17th for Humans of Go-to-Market in San Francisco. Bye, everyone.
Have a great rest of the day.